For decades, fighter jets have ruled the skies. Manned by the most talented pilots on the planet, these multi-million-dollar miracles of military technology have been indispensable in achieving aerial superiority all around the world. But the fighter era may be speeding toward its end far sooner than anyone anticipated, because something new is on the horizon, and it's rewriting the rules of engagement. Meet the X-Bat, a jet-powered autonomous fighter drone. The X-Bat delivers the same kind of speed, stealth, and superior technology as a conventional fighter, but with a whole host of additional advantages, like the fact that it doesn't need a cockpit or a pilot, meaning it doesn't get tired, never makes mistakes, and won't have to rely on human minds, hearts, or reaction times to make split-second decisions in the heat of battle. So, while the world's superpowers are still pouring billions into manned platforms, the X-Bat has the potential to make them all obsolete and usher in a whole new era of aerial warfare. It's a remarkably ambitious project, and there's plenty of pressure on the company behind it, Shield AI, to deliver. Fortunately, this firm seems to have the right people in the right places. One of its co-founders, for example, is Brandon Seng, a former Navy SEAL and surface warfare officer who served aboard USS Pearl Harbor. He experienced firsthand the kinds of problems that AI could solve, he saw the number of lives that autonomous technologies could save, and he wanted to be part of making that happen. The company's senior vice president of aircraft engineering, meanwhile, is none other than Arma Harris, who previously worked at SpaceX, leading teams on the development of groundbreaking technologies like the Starlink satellite system and Falcon 9 reusable space launch rocket. As well as putting together a veritable dream team of company leaders, Shield AI has also established a strong reputation for itself with the development and release of two major products so far, HiveMind and VBAT. HiveMind is, in essence, AI pilot software designed for unmanned aircraft and collaborative teaming. It operates like an autonomous pilot, allowing entire swarms of drones to execute missions without the need for human operators or any sort of manual intervention. The VBAT, meanwhile, is an advanced vertical takeoff and landing VTOL unmanned aerial vehicle (UAV) designed for intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance missions. With an advanced design but simple operation, the VBAT can be assembled by a team of two in less than 30 minutes. Its unique ducted fan technology enables it to take off, hover, and transition to fixed-wing flight, while its high-efficiency, heavy-fuel engine allows it to remain in the air for extended periods of more than 13 hours at a time. The VBAT is already combat-proven, in service with the likes of the United States Navy, Coast Guard, and it's even on its way to other nations, with orders in place from India and the Netherlands. It's a highly rated drone, but with the X-Bat, Shield AI hopes to build something far greater and more impactful, something that could revolutionize aerial warfare for generations to come. After months of secrecy, Shield AI unveiled the platform for the first time in October 2025, with Harris answering questions from the war zone about the drone's design, key features, and use cases. He immediately laid out the rationale behind the X-Bat's development. So we've been approaching trying to solve the biggest problem that the United States has today, which is how do we counter the rise of our peer adversaries, i.e. China, and their ability to outspend and outproduce us in the military technology of the 21st century. And the way to do that is with America's fundamental advantage, which is innovation. Harris went on to explain that the X-Bat is not just an aircraft, but an entirely new weapon system that changes the very balance of power in the Pacific region. Summing up its purpose and potential, the Shield AI Senior Vice President said, "What it does is it basically brings the capability of something like an F-35 or a comparable 5th-gen fighter, puts it in a vertical takeoff and landing package, and then delivers it at a tenth of the cost, lifecycle-wise, of a 5th-gen. In a nutshell, X-Bat enables America to counter China's 5th and even 6th generation aircraft with something that's just as capable but comes at only a fraction of the price. But before we delve deeper into the unique benefits it brings, here's a closer look at what exactly the X-Bat is. According to the data released so far, X-Bat falls into the category of Group 5 drones, the heaviest group, tipping the scales at more than 1,320 pounds or 600 kilograms. It has a wingspan of 39 feet, 12 meters, and a fuselage length of 26 feet, 8 meters, which makes it significantly larger than many drones, but still quite compact compared to a conventional fighter jet. Indeed, Shield AI notes that even 3 X-Bats stacked side by side still have a smaller overall footprint than a typical fighter. As far as its technology goes, the X-Bat builds on the foundations established by the V-Bat, but goes significantly further, with not just a dramatically different aesthetic, but also far more advanced capabilities. As a VTOL drone, it has the power to both take off and land vertically without the need for conventional runways. It instead uses quite a sizable launch and recovery vehicle, LRV, allowing it to leave the ground and soar to heights of thousands or even tens of thousands of feet in a matter of minutes. Once in position, the LRV transitions to a vertical position, launching the X-Bat straight up into the air. The drone uses afterburners to provide the necessary thrust-to-weight ratio needed to get off the ground and into the air as quickly as possible, with Harris noting that the initial launch process only takes around 25 seconds. Then, once it's reached sufficient altitude, the X-Bat transitions to a horizontal position, ready for whatever missions its operators have in mind, and it has the ability to stay airborne for a significant amount of time, with Shield AI noting that it has a maximum operational range of more than 2,000 nautical miles, or 2,300 miles, or 3,700 kilometers. The landing process is equally smooth and seamless, with the X-Bat gradually decelerating and transitioning to vertical flight before carrying out a careful, controlled, and highly precise descent towards its flight deck. It makes contact with the LRV once more, at which point latching systems engage to lock the drone back into position, before the LRV hits the road once more. Whether it's taking off, in the air, or landing, the X-Bat is powered and piloted by Shield AI's proprietary HiveMind software. This provides the AI brain of the drone, allowing it to carry out the most complex aerial maneuvers or even team up with piloted fighters and other drones as part of group operations, even in areas where conventional radio communications or GPS navigation fail to function. As far as power and speed are concerned, the X-Bat is equipped with a General Electric F110 engine, which may come as a surprise to aviation experts. The X-Bat is a state-of-the-art, almost futuristic innovation, but the F110 is actually quite an old engine, having been developed in the 1970s. However, there's a reason why Shield AI opted for this particular component. It may be old, but it's remarkably reliable. The F-110 has been used in some of the finest US military aircraft of the last 50 years, including the F-14 Tomcat, the F-15 Strike Eagle, and the F-16 Fighting Falcon. It's proven itself in the field of battle, providing the necessary power for some of the world's best jets, and since the X-Bat is much smaller than a conventional fighter, it doesn't necessarily need a fancy new state-of-the-art engine. In fact, a brand new engine would most likely cause a massive increase in the drone's production costs, while also pushing back the date at which it could be released and rolled out into operational service. The F-110 engine should allow the X-Bat to reach quite impressive speeds as well. While Shield AI hasn't shared any specifics, experts expect it could easily break the sound barrier and potentially reach a peak speed of around Mach 1.2 or 920 miles per hour, which would be exceptionally fast for a drone. And it's not just fast, but stealthy too. Its ultra-aerodynamic design brings to mind the likes of the B-2 Spirit or B-21 Raider, with razor-sharp edges to cut through the sky, smooth surfaces to minimize air resistance, and a compact, low-profile form factor, plus internal weapons bays that should result in the most minimal of radar signatures. Back in October 2025, Shield AI confirmed that the X-Bat had been in development for around 18 months and was gearing up for its very first VTOL flight. In May 2026, Arma Harris once more spoke to the War Zone to share the latest updates about the drone and its next-level capabilities. But before we look at what he said and the game-changing potential of this fighter drone, you're watching The Military Show. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. During his interview, Harris shed light on what makes the X-Bat's design so advanced and advantageous for future military applications. He highlighted, for example, the X-Bat's aerodynamics, explaining that it was designed with a high lift-to-drag ratio in mind compared to conventional aircraft, allowing it to deliver high levels of cruise performance. He He also touched on its fuel efficiency, noting that the X-Bat boasts a bigger engine than normal for an aircraft of its size class, which actually makes it more efficient when it comes to getting in the air and achieving cruise altitude as quickly as possible, using as little fuel as possible in the process. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, he spoke about the X-Bat's weight. He explained that tail sitting is the most efficient way to carry out vertical takeoffs and landings, but it's always been challenging to pull off with conventional aircraft. Because of that fact, many pre-existing VTOL designs, like the F-35 or Harrier for example, take off and land horizontally before transitioning to flight. That involves the likes of swiveling nozzles and lift fan systems that are not only expensive but also add to the aircraft's weight. The X-Bat does things very differently, using what Harris calls a simple, straight-down-the-middle F-16 style propulsion system, combined with its own specially made LRV, which means that a lot of the systems and components necessary for VTOL are actually inside the LRV, not the drone itself. For example, the X-Bat doesn't have or need any landing gear, which can be quite bulky and heavy, impacting an aircraft's size and thrust-to-weight ratio. It doesn't have an auxiliary power unit (APU) either, because the LRV is equipped with its own battery pack to fire up the X-Bat's engine. As Harris explained, moving these systems to the landing vehicle makes the drone itself much sleeker, smaller, and more lightweight. And the advantages don't stop there. Since the X-Bat is autonomous, it obviously doesn't need a pilot, a cockpit, a life support system, or other pilot-oriented components and technologies that also cost money, consume resources, and take up space. The autonomous nature of the X-Bat also means that these drones could, theoretically, be produced and deployed en masse, without the need for lengthy pilot training procedures. It can take literally years of training for a single F-35 pilot to be ready to carry out combat missions, for example, and even with advanced military academies and training programs, the US and other major military powers don't simply have endless supplies of world-class Top Gun pilots. Only the best of the best are truly good enough to climb into the cockpits of these extremely advanced, complicated machines, which can also cost tens or even more than $100 million per unit, which means that there's always a limit on how many actually can be made and deployed. The X-Bat shatters those limits. What's more, even with years of training and experience, pilots are still people. They can make mistakes, they can get tired, and their bodies can suffer when exposed to the extreme velocities and gravitational forces of fighter jet flights. They also need breaks, rest, food and water, as well as specialist equipment, outfits, communication systems, and so on. The X-Bat pilot needs none of that and faces none of the same challenges because it's not human. It's AI. AI that never tires, never falters, and at least in theory, always knows the right move to make at the exact right time, with instantaneous decision-making and next-level response times. With that kind of brain inside it, there's no telling how powerful the X-Bat could be. Whether it's carrying out strike missions, counter-air operations, electronic warfare jamming, or intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance (ISR), it has the potential for peerless precision and efficiency. And once again, Shield AI has been tight-lipped about potential loadouts and mission systems for its stealth fighter drone. But Harris has confirmed that it will have the same size payload base as the F-35, but with the potential to go twice as far. He told TWZ that the X-Bat has been designed with widely different combat conditions in mind, stating, "This has to operate in the desert, it has to operate in the high north, in the Arctic, it has to operate in high sea states, it has to operate in MCOM conditions, it has to operate in GPS-denied conditions." Evidently, the X-Bat has not been crafted with just one or two prospective combat scenarios in mind. This is a drone that's built for almost anything, ready to go where it's needed, from the frosty lands of the far north to the blistering deserts of the Middle East. As Harris notes, it's a true multi-role platform, providing the critical flexibility that a modern military superpower needs. And with two vast internal payload bays, both the same size as those on the F-35, there's plenty of room for a wide variety of weapon systems and other technologies to help the X-Bat achieve its aims. In its marketing materials released so far, Shield AI notes, for example, that the X-Bat could come equipped with several air-to-air missiles, including the AIM-174 and AIM-12, as well as air-to-surface missiles such as the LRASM and JSO C-1. It's also equipped with an electronic warfare suite, which could consist of radar jammers and other technologies designed to sow confusion and chaos among enemy forces. On top of this, the X-Bat also features a pair of external wet-plumbed hard points, which Harris notes could be used for carrying the likes of an air fueling store, which would allow it to be used for refueling other manned fighters or even drones in the surrounding airspace. What's more, while Harris wasn't willing to share too much information about the X-Bat's signature stealth capabilities, he noted that it was designed to maximize cost per effect, with its low observable and infrared signature reduction capacities. He brought up the B-21 as an example, calling it the most exquisitely low observable platform available, but also an extremely expensive one, adding that, for some missions, that level of LO technology isn't always needed. What if instead having one really exquisite thing for that same price of that one really exquisite thing? What if I had 10, 15, 20 of a slightly less exquisite thing, but achieved similar effect with mass? That, in a nutshell, is the X-Bat. It wasn't built to be better than the best bombers or fanciest fighter jets. It was designed to be able to perform at similar levels, with far less risk, and for a fraction of the cost. Every piece of its design was crafted with those goals in mind, from its reasonably old but immensely reliable engine to its state-of-the-art LRV VTOL system. It's about optimization, and the best part of all is that Shield AI isn't done yet. This is still a work in progress after all. The company currently has, according to Harris, a couple of prototypes at its facility in Frisco, Texas, and aims to conduct its first flight by the end of 2026. It isn't rushing things, working slowly but surely through a graduated test plan, while continuing to identify possible areas of improvement in the X-Bat's design, digging into real combat data provided by the V-Bat to make its next-level stealth drone as efficient, precise, and reliable as possible. Harris even mentioned that the company is looking at ways to allow the X-Bat to receive refueling in the air, which would extend its operational range even further. This is already a game-changing design, combining VTOL capabilities, extended range, multi-role mission systems, and advanced autonomy. It solves so many of the problems that have plagued manned platforms for years, like cost, complexity, survivability, and operational risk. And it has the potential to get even better, delivering unparalleled and unprecedented value to the US military and any other country that decides to invest in it. And this is only the start. Other contractors are also working on jet-style drones, and as more of these innovations are developed and deployed, it's only a matter of time until the battlefield skies are filled not with conventional pilots and their planes, but with stealth drones and their AI brains. And this is just one of the many exciting military innovations set to be rolled out into US military service in the months and years ahead. You can learn more about another exciting sci-fi style weapon in this video, or watch this video to see how the US has already deployed a top-secret spy drone in the skies of Iran. And finally, don't forget to subscribe to The Military Show if you don't want to miss out on more insightful analysis, breaking news, and military reports from around the world.